All right.
All right, welcome. This is the Cigar Chronicles, episode 4. The undertone of race and inequality. Definitely want to give a shout out to our sponsors, uh, Wing Snob, also BS3 Network, Roku TV, Spotify, and all of the podcast affiliates. Definitely want to give, like I said, shout out to Crowns by Trade, Soul Brother Cigar. Appreciate giving us these amazing cigars to smoke during our podcast. And without further ado, and I'm gonna start with my guy Osiris, and everybody just introduce themselves.
Yeah, what's good, y'all? My name is Osiris Bali. I'm an artist, activist in the community. You know what I'm saying? And just a big youth advocate as well, man. Appreciate y'all having me on here. I really don't know what else to say about myself, but I appreciate y'all having me on here, man. And looking forward to this great conversation.
Good deal. We'll go to Miss Jonette.
Hello, everybody. I'm Janita Williams. I'm just a social person. I like cigars, Democratic precinct chair, and one of the officers of the Dallas NAACP. So I'm just want to stay connected with my community.
Right, thank you for joining us. Next, we have Minister Dominique Alexander.
How y'all doing? I'm Minister Dominic Alexander, President and founder of the Next Generation Action Network, also Dallas County Precinct Chair. But like I said, just an old fella from Oak Cliff.
Yeah. Good. All right, I guess we'll go ahead and get started. My name is Ernest Hill. I'm also the co-host, and I'll turn it over to Tremont.
All right, I am Tremont. I'm one of the hosts of the Cigar Chronicles podcast. I'm gonna jump right on into it because definitely it's a lot that has happened in the last week, in the last 24 hours. So, let's just go and get in it. I'm gonna ask the first question, and anyone just feel free to jump in. Do you feel like there are two different justice systems in America? One for Black America and one for white America? Definitely, like I said, someone jump in, and I know that this is going to be a really good question, and let's go ahead and get with it.
Don't be shy. Come on.
Okay.
I mean, of course, there is two different justice systems for blacks and for whites or people of color versus whites. Most of the time when I'm at work, I took on a new role at work, so I have a lot of downtime. So during my downtime at work, I look at First 48, and when I see black men or that do a crime, we get 30 years, and somebody white will be on First 48. They'll get 8 years or maybe 5. So there's definitely different justice systems out there, even when it goes to delivering sentences and what they deem as punishments.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, we know it's two different justices for black and white because the disproportionate representation in prisons right now, is overwhelmingly filled with black and brown people. And when we make up the minority of the population, but make up the majority of the population percentage-wise in prison, I mean, you have to look at what's going on, but not even just we're talking about black and white. We're also talking about economics. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of economic inequities going on too, because we know the rich can go bottom a lawyer that'll get their charges dropped, dismissed. You know what I'm saying? The wealthy and the powerful people, they experience a way more lenient criminal justice system than black people who are fighting federal cases with legal aid and working with public defenders who are overworked and unprepared, and encouraging their clients to plead and not fight for their cases. You know what I'm saying? And also at the same time, you got to look at how jails are too as well. You know, this cash bail system where people are kept in jails for years just to encourage them to plead, and they don't have the economic privilege to wait their trial 2 years out and work out good arrangements to, you know what I'm saying, not be in prison later on. So it definitely is two different American justice systems when it comes to black and white people. And economics play a big role in that, and policy as well.
Well, I think that the two people before me said it best. I think that one of the things about America is that, of course, over 400 years, its history um, has not proven itself wrong. And the reality is, in 2021, they haven't came up with new tricks to the trade. You know what I mean? I always tell one of my mentors always tell me, always do more listening, more reading than doing talking. And the reality is that if you do that, you will start to realize that like that old saying what grandma said, there ain't nothing new under the sun, right? And the reality is they're doing the same exact playbook that they did in the early 1800s, the late 1800s, the early 1900s, the in 2000s. And yet at the end of the day, the reality is that I think that the reason why things has not changed. And I told somebody the other day, I said, because they kept on asking me, even with the Ahmaud Arbery case, they said, what are we going to do afterwards? The question was,
Oh, you scared
what
me.
was we going to do afterwards?
Don't ever sneak up in front of me like that.
Not what we were going to do before. You know what I mean? Not what we were going to do in the meantime. What was the solution? What was this? What were we going to do afterwards? And I think that we have processed our mind to be in a reactionary race, right? Versus then a proactive race. And the reality is that we got to be more proactive if we think we're going to get more better solutions and outcomes into this system that is not built to serve us. And yet at the end of the day, that's the reason why we see ourselves disproportionately filled in these prison systems, just like my brother said before. But let's start even more further than that. The inequity starts when our children is born and when our children are in schools. That leads to yet this system that we are dealing with right now in America. And yet at the end of the day, until we become more proactive versus reactive, I don't see nothing changing.
Wow, that was some good points. I want to acknowledge some of the comments in our that were made by one was by Ashton Smith. He had stated that we need to teach people how to start their own business, things like that, because a lot of times people with criminal records don't get hired. That is so true, and we'll just kind of stick kind of similar to that subject as far as our next question. And that's going to be, how surprised were you with the Rittenhouse verdict? And also, how was your response to the Ahmaud Arbery verdict today? And anyone can just chime in as they choose.
I was honestly surprised today. Those men were found guilty. Even though they should have been found guilty and it shouldn't have been a problem, I found myself couldn't believe it that the jury found them guilty because of what we just talked about before, of there being two different justice systems for blacks and whites, especially when a crime is done against somebody black. Nobody cares when something happens to somebody black. So I was really surprised. But great verdict, and I liked how the jury took color out of it and did the right thing.
Yeah. Me personally, you know what I'm saying, with the Kyle Rittenhouse verdict, I wasn't surprised by that. You know what I'm saying? Anybody who saw like some clips from that trial and just watched the judge's behavior kind of see how I was going to be swayed in favor to protect Kyle Rittenhouse. And you know what I'm saying? To me, that he just basically lived out that white vigilante American dream, to be able to go out in the community and say that you care about businesses that you never visited in your life,
Right.
tote your gun and saying that you're trying to protect them and go out there harass people and escalate the situation. I mean, if you play Call of Duty online and hear these racist cats with these guns, he basically went ahead and lived out his video game, fantasy. You know what I'm saying? Go take his assault rifle. And he was a 17-year-old, but you know what I'm saying? He went across state lines looking for drama. So I really wasn't surprised by that because he had already achieved like this unsung American patriotic hero kind of theme in the white community, and they didn't, he was on celebrity tours, bar hopping and stuff like that. So, I wasn't surprised by that, and ultimately it was the prosecution's job to prove that it wasn't self-defense, and I don't think they really did a good job doing that as well. Definitely with the Ahmaud Arbery case, I was glad that these guys were found guilty. And but like you say, like she mentioned earlier, this was a perfect example of two different criminal justice systems in America. It took 74 days for these three men to be charged. The only reason why they got charged is because local authorities failed to do it for 74 days and protests ensued. And that's the power of protesting right there. That's when you actually see the power of it, because had it not been protests, had it not got the media coverage that it got, these three men would have been local community heroes, going to the bar just like Kyle Rittenhouse and chilling, talking about a black man today, away with it. So, and they knew, and they had a history with law enforcement, so they knew what they did was wrong too as well. So it was good to see them get charged, and now we just got to wait for the sentence and see how that's going to turn out, because it might be outrage again, So,
Right. Did you want to comment, Minister?
What I first of all, the Rittenhouse trial was not surprising to me. First of all, you're talking about the whole, you're fighting against the whole entire NRA, right? The reality is that this man had $1 million legal defense. You know what I'm saying? Millions of dollars, right? This young man was literally paraded around the country, taking pictures and doing photo ops and going through events. You know what I mean? Like that. I really wasn't really invested into the case from the beginning. Because it was much of a joke. I'm just trying to figure out, like, I'm waiting on the prosecutors to file all of the judicial ethics complaints against the judge, because anybody with their right mind looked at this judge. This judge was trying to be the next Judge Judy Slot, all types of stuff. Like it was just some real theatrics. And just made himself, like, he embedded himself in that case, that it was just it was all kind of problematic if you kind of been aware of the judicial system, and the fact that, like, it was just ridiculous. I think that for the second victim, and knowing the facts around that case in the Kyle Rittenhouse trial, I think that second victim, I really feel for his family, because I believe that the first victim's nuances really threw out some crazy stuff. Um, Now, as for the Ahmaud Arbery trial, now let me say this quick. I'm gonna be quite honest with you. I have totally, literally, took my faith totally away from the American judicial system, right? And then this is the same thing when we had the Jordan Edwards case, we had the Botham Jean case, and everything. Everybody keep on asking me, even with a Tatiana Jefferson's case around the corner, people keep on asking me the question, what do I think? What you think gonna happen? Not guilty. That's what I think. This is America. You know what I mean? The reality is I'd rather be proved wrong in that regard than to be proved. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just, like, hey, the reality is that we're talking about Georgia. We're talking about some of the things in the theatrics that was put in this case, that I was surprised that they convicted them of all those counts. You know what I mean? and that's just because I've had to go to these cases that don't even get the limelight. You know what I mean? Like I tell people all the time, for every Ahmaud Arbery, there is about 100 of them. You know what I mean? For every victim that you know, there's about 100 of them. You know what I mean? And Ahmaud Arbery just didn't get justice for himself today. Got justice for a whole lot of those victims, that name that you don't know, and different things of that nature. And I tell people all the time, this stuff is not new. These guys felt like they could get away with murder.
Yep.
And the fact is that we don't even know, they may have done this before. And the fact that how the whole case went, and from the DA that's now charged all the way to the, just silencing it. I remember when Attorney Lee Merrick had actually got this case right before it blew up, right before the video came out, and he told me, he was like, he normally calls and be like, "Hey, man, I got this case, man. You want to roll up with me?" And I'm like, "What you mean? Where at?" And then he always try to, leave the location out of the frame of it, because he already know what my first response is going to be. You know what I'm saying? So he said, Brunswick, Georgia. I said, what? I said, what the hell is that? Where is that at? How far is it from Atlanta? You know what I'm saying? Because that's the only city I know. And he said 4 hours. I said, oh no, doc, you on your own with that one. You on your own with that one. But I remember, and then a week later, and I remember the mom just going around, the mom and the dad just going around trying to find anybody who would take this case, be a part of this case, get more information. And I'm just grateful to God for that mom and that father. And I pray that today has given them comfort. For I know that nothing can replace the daughter, their son. But I really feel for this family, who has been, they went months, you know what I mean, months without just like any semblance of justice. You know what I mean? Like not even responding phone calls, all these different types of stuff. I really feel for that family, and our heart goes out to it. But trust in the American justice system, I ain't got no more.
And I'll just say this, just to kind of touch on that. It's ironic where we always make the comment that America's not racist, but this individual, Kyle Rittenhouse, was just at the Mar-a-Lago with Donald Trump, based on a celebratory tour. So what does that say? That's crazy. It's asinine to me. Go ahead, Trayvon. I'm sorry.
No, you good, man. But just to me, it always just seems like that the victim of these of stuff like this is always the one that's put on trial. If you look back at Trayvon Martin, if you look at all these other incidences happen, it just always seems like the victim is put on trial. But then when the reverses are flipped, it's almost like that they're made a martyr. And they're put on these book tours, because I'm pretty sure he better get a book deal, and they'll probably do a Lifetime movie or something on. So it's
or
just like
he might become a cop one day too.
Right.
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 Yeah.
And that's one of the realities. It's like, what's the next step for Kyle Rittenhouse? You're talking about an 18-year-old, right? And he's written books. He's done all these different types of things. You know what I mean? But hey, y'all, real quick, I saw Ernest. You had said something about what Ashton had put in the comments, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I've been trying to tell people all the time, when it, because I've been seeing people put out this talk about every time it gets to Black Friday, they always talk about let's support Black businesses, and which is great in the theory, but there's one important thing that we always seem to leave out the equation, and that's Black banking. And at the end of the day, if you don't have Black, I tell people all the time, I don't try to, like, if we ain't gonna go it all the way, then don't do it at all. Don't make people, don't give people false hope. Don't give people what you call it, because if you cannot control that dollar when you go in there and support Black businesses, and let me make this very clear. I believe in supporting fundamentals of black businesses and and all that type of stuff or whatever. But the conversation cannot be every year support black businesses, and we have not found the strategy of how black banking and controlling that dollar. If we go over there to Harry Hines and many of us in Dallas, Texas, we'll realize if we go down the road a little bit, we probably are past 7 banks. And I always ask people, what is the percentage of Asian Americans in Dallas, North Texas, right?
Mhm.
It's not even the equivalence of black people, right? And out of Dallas, Fort Worth, the whole Metroplex, we can get one doggone black bank. You know what I mean? One, not one. You know what I'm saying? So the reality is that if we can't control the dollar, we really giving false hope.
I agree with you, Minister Dominique. One thing I wanted to say about Rittenhouse, I think he's going to be their spokesperson. I mean, he's the new spokesperson, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's the new, he's a spokesperson. He's the one that if something happens and people do a protest, people can pretty much do what you want if you want to oppose the protest.
That's true. That is so true.
Yeah, he really just made every protest more dangerous because, you know what I'm saying, he pretty much just did a how-to. He gave everybody a tutorial on like this is how you disrupt the protest. I mean, it's the same thing, you know what I'm saying, with police officers coming to our community and interrupting peace. You know what I'm saying? If we can't congregate fellowship without police presence being there to interrupt our peace, then you know what I'm saying, that's the issue too as well. So, you know what I'm saying, he gave an how-to example on how to, disrupt a protest and kind of, you know what I'm saying, complete your own agenda.
Great. I agree with him. And I've told people all the time, I know we had a podcast and a show right afterwards, and I did a panel and discussion on this, and I let people know when I first started activism in 2014, 2015, we used to have a real hard stance on having, guns and different things on there. Normally it would be, security and different things of that nature. And it was just, it was just something that even as me as a leader, I had to grow and evolve. But the reality is that the America that we know now has a lot of stuff has changed. And the Kyle Rittenhouse case has did a 360. I remember the last protest that we had. One of the protests, they had us all on the news talking about there were guns at every point of the protest, and they thought that, of course, I wasn't going to go on there and say, hey, I tell them all the time. I said I authorized that, and in every NGAN protest, we're gonna be gunned up, because I let people know, you come out there with that foolishness, we going home, Doc. Y'all won't go home.
Right.
We going home. You understand what I'm saying? And don't blame nobody else, but look at me. You know what I'm saying? Look at me. Because you come out there with that foolishness and all that type of stuff or whatever. I tell people all the time, we don't need the police to protect our people. You come out there and protest, you're gonna be protected. We dunking you on your head. You know what I'm saying? And we ain't doing nothing. We'll fight the case later. We'll bond our people out, all that type of stuff. But we going home, Doc. So for all the people, and I make this very clear, for all you, Kyle Rittenhouse lovers and all that type of stuff, and think NGAN. I can't speak for everybody else. You think NGAN gonna be your fresh meat? I promise you, we gonna put some in you. You know what I'm saying? That's to let you know I'm not sugarcoating that no more. I'm not making that political correctness. I promise you, you come out there with that Donald Trump, your savior, and all that type of shit. I promise you, you get jumped in the head, Kim Folk. I ain't playing with you no more. Hey, gloves off, man. I'm not. Nah, we don't live in that America no more. Like that's out of it.
Why when we say the word Donald Trump, we got to say a cuss word with it? I heard
He
you
just
like
make
it
you
just,
when you
yeah,
look
I
at
know
him.
it just makes
He
you want
make
to
you want to
cuss.
When you
cuss.
look at
Just
him,
say,
you
say
just make you want to
damn
just act ugly.
Oh goodness.
The same way it get them hyped up, it get us hyped up too. But we be on some other stuff with ours.
For real.
I want all the smoke. Come on.
All of it. Like no,
Yes, sir.
like no passes no more. Like we going home. We going
This,
home. Tear
this good.
gas, all that. We going home. You know what I'm saying? They ain't playing no games. No.
It's good dialogue. Go ahead, Trevon.
I'm gonna ask this. Compared to 4 years ago, would you guys say that race relations in America are better, worse, or the same?
you know, I think they're the same. I don't know if but I do think there's an element where white folks are real bold now.
Mm.
You know, I'm I'm almost 20 years in at AT&T, and when I think about when I first started 20 years ago at AT&T, they were a little bit more laid back, seemed like they wanted to be open, but now they don't give a damn. Shit, I didn't give you the job, and they don't care about letting you know. I didn't give you the job, and I don't care what you think or how you feel.
Mm.
So I think these white folks are real bold now. But as far as white people being white people always been white, and they always been full of shit. This whole time. They ain't never been worth a damn. So that's all I have to say about that.
Nah.
Tell us how you really feel, Janetta.
They ain't
Look
about
out.
shit, and you know it.
Janetta, you know we already been down there at AT&T already. Now we're gonna have to come out there for you next day.
Y'all need to come back. Y'all need to come back, because see, that's why I joined this group I'm with now, because of some shit they did to me in 2015. Yeah, white folks, they terrible. And by the way, AT&T created that shit, One America. They funded that. Ernest, you know about it.
It's true. That's true. That's,
AT&T funded that racist media network that's on TV.
that's
Yeah,
true.
That
we
direct
going to go see
TV.
Ed Gillespie.
Mhm.
Okay. But what I'm surprised about at AT&T, the guy who's the chairman of the board, he's a black guy. And he used to be over the FCC at one point. And
Mhm.
he's
What that's
still
supposed
allowing all this bullshit.
to
But
mean? That's payday for him. He ain't finna. You know, like that's a whole nother conversation of when people get in
it
positions of
is. That's
power.
a whole nother
Yes,
podcast,
it is. Yes,
That's
it
a
is.
Yeah.
whole nother. That's a
Hey,
whole nother conversation.
because they can put somebody with that title up there with the same skin color as us, but go look at the board. That's the real indication of who got the power right there. Because
Ooh,
the board, if they ain't starting with no racial equity at the top,
phew.
the middle and the bottom, it don't even matter.
It don't even
Because
matter.
because
but
the,
but
because
but the
the top is where it's at. You know what I'm saying?
but
So
the chairman is a black guy. Now they see he's a peck of wood then.
Man, they got a person in a. Listen, let me tell you this, Janelle. Last year on the Dallas Morning News, they put an article out of some two African American Negroes, right? They said they the new black leaders, right? And hell, we in George Floyd and all this type of stuff, we see all this white guilt and shit, and they supposed to be the new black leaders. So I sent an email to the new black leader wanting to request a meeting. The new black leader sent me to his diversity person. Okay. The other one, I couldn't find his email nor his house. But that one that sent me to the diversity person, we showed up at his house. That's Fred Papal, the chairman of the Citizens Council. Now, mind you, he's also the CEO of Beck, but that doesn't mean he running shit. You know what I'm saying? Like the reality is that black people we supported positions in skin versus substance. And I always tell people all the time, I don't give a damn if you give me a blue-eyed devil. If he got some substance in him, you know what I mean? I take him 10 before just electing a skin color. You know what I mean? And the reality is that guess what? We got a mayor in this city that's just a skin color. And he ain't nothing of no substance. So the reality is that we listen, we got let me show y'all this. We got we got black mayor, black city manager, black this, black that, and we ain't got black shit. You know what I mean? Like we got the mayor, the person who run the meeting, and the chief executive officer of the city of Dallas. And see if some issues have been addressed in urban Dallas. No. This black mayor and black city manager diverted COVID relief funds into police funds. Did he give it to people that's struggling? So realization is that you can have a position in the skin, but if you don't have no substance behind it, it's a waste of time.
Wow.
I didn't know I was gonna get on here and shoot shots fired and stuff.
I'm sorry.
Ernest trying to get me in trouble.
I opened you up, Minister.
We may have to put a disclosure. The opinions of our guests does not.
Yeah. Hey, this is my opinion.
This is my opinion. This is my opinion.
Yeah. Hey, they ain't shit.
Oh man, where did we? We done got off track. What?
Man, look, I don't even know what to say after that.
That just come through red tape, didn't it?
Yes, indeed. Go ahead, Mr. Body. You were saying something?
Oh no, I don't know how much I missed. I had to get reconnected back on, but I'll just keep it short. So far, like race relations 4 years ago to now, are they better? No, they not. And things won't get better until, you know what I'm saying, a whole mindset got to change. So as long as white supremacy culture is going to be prominent, then we're not going to be having the type of race relations that people write about in books and all this utopia type of ideas of the world or whatever. You know, the reality is we just got to deal with the facts and how it is. And you know what I'm saying? Policy is just one way to change things, but, you know, policy don't change mind states. And, you know, we dealing with, like I said, a whole culture. I had to tell somebody the other day, man, white supremacy culture is so ingrained in America. I used to work in the hospitals. I work with recuperative care patients that's in their 80s and 90s, hip replacements and knee replacements and stuff like that. And they had dementia, Alzheimer's. They wouldn't recognize who their daughter, their son, their husband, their uncles was, but they'd never forget to call you a nigger. You mean to tell me you can lose all logic in your whole mind, but then still remember to be racist? That's how white supremacy, that's how deep it's ingrained. That's how deep it's ingrained, man. So they still say the N-word. Well, you can't even remember your own kids that you raised for 50, 40 years or however long, but you'll remember when you see my black face to call me the N-word. White supremacy culture is deeply ingrained in America, so race relations will always be a reflection of that.
Wow. Now he dropped a nugget right there. Goodness.
Yeah, I didn't know people in nursing homes who don't remember shit know how to say nigga. Yeah. That's something.
Wow.
Oh. Just like this little girl mama finally said something today that's over there in Fort Worth, talking about now she want to talk about her white daughter. Her white daughter went up there and slapped that substitute and called her a nigger, right? But now her white daughter got schizophrenia and bipolar and all that type of stuff. You know, we got to take that. You know what I'm saying? Baby didn't look like she was very challenged at all. You know what I'm saying? She knew exactly. Very deliberate.
This happened today?
No. This is a video that was kind of going viral on TikTok. Y'all remember
Oh,
the
okay, I
video?
guess I
I
ain't
Yeah.
think
seen it.
Castleville High School.
Castleberry.
Castleberry, yeah.
Yeah.
Now the mama say she suffered from bipolar, schizophrenia, and all that type of stuff. See, that do a level of injustice to people who mental health is realness, mental illness is real. You know what I'm saying? And this type of stuff does a real injustice to people who actually suffers from these type of illness, right? And that little girl didn't look like she was suffering from nobody's illness. You know what I'm saying?
That
The little girl knew what she was doing and exactly what she was doing, right? But you would have been mad if that mother would have slapped fire out of it. You know what I'm saying? You've been talking about she need to go to jail and all that type of stuff. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because mama was better than me.
Yeah, kind of
well,
use some history.
the real illness is entitlement. That's the real
Yeah,
illness.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
our kids are raised to respect elders, whether they white, black, or whatever. Our kids ain't gonna slap no damn teacher because when they get home, we gonna beat the fuck out of them.
Yeah. That's them.
You put your hands on
That's
somebody
the
grown.
that's the affluenza babies. You know what I'm saying? Them affluenza babies.
Yep, that's it. Golly, man.
And when we talking about the American justice system, right? The fact that literally affluenza is a literal legal term now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it
Let's
is.
always remember that.
Wow. Oh, we'll move to another subject. This one here was pretty aggressive as far as the content. So the question would be: is how do we infiltrate some of these power groups in the Black and Brown community to get more involved in the fight for social justice? And we'll start with you, Mr. Alexander.
See, I knew Ernest was gonna get me in trouble. I knew Ernest was gonna get me in trouble. See, that's the see. I try to keep these conversations on Twitter. You know what I mean?
It needs to be heard, Doc. It needs to be heard.
Oh man, give me the question again, please.
Yeah, let me say it. So, how do we infiltrate some of these power groups in the Black and Brown communities in the fight for social justice?
Well, let me say this quick because I know Janetta and I are members of one of the most prestigious Black organization. And I always tell people all the time, as a Black person, I really feel like Black America should hold the NAACP, the national NAACP, the hell accountable. And while we talk about defunding the police, hell, we need to defund the NAACP. And the realization is this: it's holding people up at top. But this ain't but let me make this very clear. This is not a reflection to what I do know, that there are all people in local chapters who do amazing work. And shout out to Alyssa Simmons over there at the Arlington NAACP branch, right? So, but I'm just gonna speak realness, because the reality is I remember my pastor. I asked him one time. I said, "Hey, Pastor Haynes, why didn't you take the CEO position of the NAACP? You know, I knew they wanted you to resign from being pastor, but why you didn't take it, right? We talking Black folk stuff. Let's be real, right?" And so he told me. He said, "No, it wasn't that. One of the issues is that y'all remember this. Friendship West went hard against the payday lending companies, right? When they did the national search for the NAACP CEO, this is stuff that the local chapters don't know. Some of the nuances that happen on the national level, the foolishness, right? The search that was that year was funded by a payday lending company. And one of the board members owned a couple locations and was highly pissed off. The reality is that I remember we had a meeting earlier this year with the beloved brother Derek Johnson. We had this meeting after he had the meeting with the president, and y'all saw that embarrassment of Black America with them lead Black organizations, and Biden get on the call telling them that they need to talk to Latinos. You know what I mean? Talk to Latinos and have a conversation with them because they gonna be the new majority. Well, the reality is I was waiting on one of them to say, well, they ain't the new majority of voting block, you doc, you know what I'm saying? Or somebody that was gonna actually challenge them, you know what I'm saying? How did this literally white man literally, I don't even know what title he got, literally tell you when your own people have delivered? The reality is that when we had this meeting, I asked them, I said, what are we doing in regards to funding organizations that are doing work in every community at direct action work? Oh, we don't do direct action work. We do policy. I said, well, okay, let's stay at policy. What are we gonna do to fund organizations to do local policy work against in our local city council, county commission, and state legislators? You know what I'm saying? What are we gonna do? How are we gonna fund this? You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, these glory legacy organizations, Urban Lead, and all these people take money every time it's a Black Lives Matter or a protest or different things. And this is the reason why I speak my truth, because I don't see the national president of Urban League in the NAACP putting out no grant for me to be able to get no funding. And let me make this very clear. This is not a reflection on the local branches, because they don't have no control over this type of element that I'm talking about. I don't see them doing that, right? I see where I got to go to these different progressive groups, these different white folks and different things of that nature and go get the grant, but I can't even get it from my own people. You know what I mean? But as soon as it's a George Floyd situation going on, they got their hands out. Oh, Black Lives Matter, and this, that, and the third. But yet at the end of the day, the boots on the ground, you vacant in that regard. You know what I mean? And you're not even supporting the organization. And this is why I said the comment earlier that our race has become more reactionary than proactive. The reality is this: is the NGAN balances over a multi-million-dollar budget, right? But it costs me about $45,000 a year to be able to hire one organizer for a certain issue. You know what I'm saying? For certain, like at the end of the day, we got to support the organizations that are on the front lines in our community and support them. And we cannot, and let me say this very clear, we cannot not hold our institutions, our legacy institutions, we cannot not hold them yet accountable. You know what I'm saying? At that national level, because they're not even thinking about all of the different things of that nature and all the different issues that we're dealing with right now. They not. But guess what? When all of those corporate companies in Dallas wanted to donate to Black Lives Matter in the height of George Floyd, where do you think they sent their check to? Them. But did it come back? I even speak for even the local chapters in NAACP and Urban League that actually say, hey, give us something down, trickle down. You know what I'm saying? Trickle down, give us some funding down here. You know what I'm saying? We steady sending up, but you ain't sending down. You know? So the reality is man, we gotta hold their feet to the fire.
Yeah,
And the reality is that some people then got comfortable at the top. You know what I mean? And these are conversations that got to be made, and everybody want to get offensive and different things of that nature. But hey, the facts is facts now. I ain't trying to be throwing no shade, this, that, and third. I just want it to work for our people. That's it.
Hey, I gotta speak on this though, real quick. I agree. I agree with 100% of everything he said. When it comes to these funders in the nonprofit world, man, gotta decolonize the wealth, man. Can't have, you know what I'm saying, the same people, the same groups that haven't been putting in the work on the front line, grassroots, grass tops, whatever, and ain't been putting in the work, boots on the ground in the community, controlling all that money, controlling all the funding. It's time for some new Black-led organizations who actually out here in the community to start getting those funds, man. One thing I heard over and over last year, as an organizer here in Arkansas, where is our Stacey Abrams at? Where we gonna find somebody to do that work to flip Georgia like that? I said, we got a Stacey Abrams here in Arkansas too. Don't get it twisted. But are you gonna pay her to organize on that level? And then on top of that, I mean, much respect to Stacey Abrams, but I mean, it was a bunch of groups in Georgia doing that work with her for years. It was she might have the biggest name out of them, but you had the Georgia Coalition for People's Agenda, the Black Voices Matter, Transformative Justice Coalition, Pro Georgia. You had a Black Youth Vote. You had a bunch of people that were doing that work in that community out there, but some certain people got the name and the claim for it. But when it comes to these organizations, man, they got to start learning that you got to fund these Black-led groups. You got to get the young people involved with your youth engagement in order to make things happen. Now, Black and brown communities, man, infiltrating, I just say start your own institution. But you know what I'm saying? Because, you ain't going to have a lot of times you ain't going to be agreeing with the Urban League and NAACP, and that's just a couple of them. But I try to focus on political strategy and leadership, community leadership, relationship building, and networking to get your community going, get the ball rolling on that right there, man. Because if we can build strong leaders, we don't have to depend on one strong leader. We can build strong leaders out here and get this work done, man, for real. Many hands make light work. We just got to have people that's getting paid to do this work. And you got to pay them right. You got to pay them right, though. You got to pay them like they're working full time because they're working full time jobs. It's time to stop. It's time to stop asking people to volunteer. It's time to stop asking people to volunteer, man.
For real.
Pay what you weigh, man.
For real, because I'm not dying like Dr. King with a 60-year-old heart. 40. Yeah, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Y'all want us out here broke, all that type of stuff or whatever. But every time something hit the fan, where Dominique at? Where this, that? Hey, no, Doc. Can't even get you niggas to give me $25. If I get $25 from every nigga that pass me and say, oh man, I'll support you, brother. Hey, well shit. Hey, look, I need to support you when I'm trying to balance this payroll budget over here. You know what I'm saying? That's what type of support I need. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what's gonna help. You know what I'm saying? And I don't mean to say this because this is really passionate about it because like people don't know like how NGAN's phones rings off the hook with everything. You know what I'm saying? And people don't know how to support the apparatus that are here. You ain't got to be like Janetta. Although I know Janetta get actively involved, but Janetta is a corporate woman, right? And the reality is I always tell this story about the late Amelia Bunton Robinson, right? Because a lot of people talk about her, and it wasn't about her sacrificing her direct action ability. It was about her sacrifice, right? Her sacrifice. This is the woman that literally lent her office in her home to Dr. King during the Selma demonstration, right? Everybody ain't got to be a direct action activist. Ain't got to be no protest. You ain't got to do that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a policy advisor. I'm not a policy maker. I'm an organizer. It's a total difference. You know what I'm saying? That means I got good ideas towards policy, but I hate the shit. You know what I'm saying? But the reality is that but the reality is that we have to support the apparatus who are doing the work. You know what I mean? I tell people all the time, every protest that we have, hell, we hungry. Where the biscuits at? You know what I'm saying? We're gonna get back to the basics in this movement when we're trying to get results, but we all reactionary. We all, hey, we waiting on the next child to get killed. We waiting on the next hashtag. You know what I'm saying? That's what we doing, right? So how many people went from the Ahmaud Arbery trial and said, guess what? I'm finna just support Black-led orgs who are doing the work. You know what I'm saying? That's doing the work on the front line, like a track record of doing the work. I'm gonna support them Black-led grassroots organizations today, so that we can continue, so that we can make sure that another Ahmaud Arbery is happening. But that didn't happen today.
I'm telling you, y'all are kicking some facts and knowledge. I do want to just stop for a quick second, and Dominique, if you want to just kind of give like a little overview of what you're doing, in the Oak Cliff area as far as the Multicultural Center, kind of give some insight as far as what's being done there. I want to give you a couple minutes, kind of just let folks know what you're doing.
You talking about the construction center?
Yes, sir.
So y'all, NGAN or whatever has been doing a lot of great work, and I'm glad to my staff and members or whatever One of the things that we did in 2014, 2015, we intervened in the Dallas ISD $1.5 billion bond, right? And what we did was is reallocated over $400 million to be looked at in the equity lens and created the first Dallas Independent School District Racial Equity Office, right? You saw a $62 million investment into Sappho Cliff 54 and Carter 88 in Pinkston, a number of different um, investments into groups, into schools. But one of the things that I left out of that conversation, one of the things that was very problematic to me is that I realized over the course of years that we didn't build it, right? And that was a very big problem for me because, of course, we got all of these construction firms and different things that come to us all the time saying, "Hey, can you support our deal? Can you do this? Can you do that?" But we didn't build these, and these were actually in our community. NGAN is about to unveil a plan of a 7,400 square foot construction facility that will teach 29 different areas of construction trade, transportation technology, entrepreneur development, communal and industry financial literacy. We even got a music studio in that joint, you know what I mean? Because we know we got to meet our babies and I meet our kids where they at, you know what I mean? And I told them, I said, listen, the philosophy is gonna be if you want some hours over there, give me some hours over there, Kinfolk. I don't give a damn what you're doing over here, but give me some hours over here. You know what I mean? And the reality is that I think this is going to be a historical a project, and I think that this is a model that people can do all across the country, because with the $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill, we only got about 20%, 10 to 20% of the workforce to actually even complete that project, right? To even do the work, you know what I mean? Even Dallas ISD, even with their $3.5 billion bond, they only know they have 30% of the workforce to actually complete that bond in the Dallas market. And the reality is that we talk about opportunities for our people and different things of that nature, but this is an industry that we pioneered. You know what I mean? It's the industry that Black people pioneered in this country. You know what I mean? And the reality is that we barely can't even see each other in this industry now. You know, like so. So the reality is that um, we create a project that can really get our people back into these industry level jobs that are literally um, being robbed of us. And I'm excited about it, and I hope to have the groundbreaking ceremony sometime at the beginning of next year. And I'm excited about it, man. But it was just a vision of mine, and I'm excited about how God is putting me in the right places and putting the right people in the right program director. Shout out to Renee Sears, who will be our program director that teaches at the Wilma Hutchins High School right now. It's gonna be amazing. So this is just one of many, but I hope that a lot of orgs. What my goal is, Ernest and Tremont, is that this be a model that other groups, other organizations across the country can be able to do, and we'll help them with the resources and being able to make sure that they can roll out the plan, because we need these things being created all across the country.
Good stuff. Well, man, I'm gonna end it with this is the last question. I'm gonna let you start this off, Osiris. Should police reform or defunding the police be the priority?
Yeah, if you only give those two options, I'm gonna say defund the police. Um, you know what I'm saying? You can't reform something that is created to do exactly what it's been doing. You didn't even have a police department until slavery ended. What you had is a sheriff and a constable in most towns. Then, soon as slavery was abolished or it ended or whatever, they started creating slave patrols, police departments, and all that type of stuff. So the intention of police is to definitely uh, be one of the catalysts in mass incarceration. And so, me personally, I say defund the police because uh, if you look at your city budget, especially in most major cities, that's what the majority of the money gets spent on. And there's so many communities that are lacking that don't get any attention or any type of funding at all because the police departments uh, soak up a lot of that city budget. And not only that, they use the people in the community as the ATM for the city when the budget of the city starts to dwindle. So that's when they start talking about doing speed traps and having all these different type of campaigns where they basically looking to get money out of the people. But not only that, you know what I'm saying? I just say, me personally, I'm like, we got to end qualified immunity. We gotta be able to police the police. We gotta have access to make police violence, misconduct, public record. We gotta establish a national database for police misconduct, police violence, and police brutality. Because a lot of times when these cops get off for doing whatever they do, or you know what I'm saying, usually they smart enough to take their BS to the next town, the next city, the next county. And so, and then they know a lot of times if they quit before they fired, their records remain sealed, and you don't get to look at their record because that's how the police department set it up. And so, and we need a whole lot. We need residency requirements, police officers, all type of things. But the main thing is they soaking up so much of the budget that could go to community programs, to dealing with youth, to dealing with mental health issues, to dealing with police juvenile diversion, dealing with issues that involve housing and poverty. They get money for stuff they don't have nothing to do with. They're not experts on. So stop giving them that money. I talked to a college last week, and one of the things I told them about why defunding the police was a priority for me is because if you at a university and these students have a professor that is constantly failing the students every year, does a university look at that professor year after year of failing students and students not passing the class and say, you deserve a raise, you deserve more money to continue to be a failure in the classroom? They're going to be trying to find a replacement.
Right.
They're going to try to, you need to leave, do something else. We need to stop giving money to the police departments to continue to fail our people because they don't do anything productive for us. They're a form of social control. They protect and serve one community and are in a position to socially control us. They interrupt peace. I say defund them because reforming, you can't reform what it's meant to do.
Wow.
He hit it. He hit it. He hit it. Ain't no addition to that. You know what I mean? Like he hit it on all different kind of fronts or whatever. And the reality is that people every day struggle with this issue. That's the reason why we said defund, reclaim, reinvest. And somebody said, what do you mean by reclaim? We're reclaiming our damn funds that you continue to strip the social economic element out of our community. We reclaiming our damn funds. You know what I'm saying? And what we're saying is leave your dog catchers out of our community and give us the type of social services that we need in our community to allow our communities to thrive. You know what I mean? If we're talking about a community like South Dallas, if Malcolm X and Martin Luther King is the epic center of Black Dallas, right? Why is it so hard for me to open up a barbershop on that street, right? Why do I got to go to the city council? Why do I got to go to a city council and do a thing called an SUP just to get a zoning rechange, literally 6-8 months down the line? And then guess what? That's not even a promise that I'm going to even be able to open up. The reality is that why are you allowing our communities to suffer? And then what you do is you allow them to suffer. You put harsh housing rights in there. You put harsh zoning rights in there. And then what you do when you strip all of those things out of our community, what do you put in those communities? You put police. So what we have to do is we have to change police in the way that we know these things, right? And the reality is that I always told somebody, we ain't after the man and the woman in the badge. We after the culture of policing, because the culture of policing is just as deadly as the person who puts the gun up to Mike Brown's head. You know what I'm saying? That's the reason why these people feel like they can do these things and get away with murder. We saw it with Amber Geiger. It's the culture of the police. You know what I'm saying? Listen. And that's where we lose the conversation all the time, because everybody want to make this movement about an individual. It ain't about an individual. Because one of the things with the George Floyd case is that every police department kept on trying to put this duty to intervene policy in, right? And the reality is that it went tone deaf towards a reality that probably me and my brother right here knows about, and every activist and a policymaker who's been doing some work in local communities around policing knows, is that if you are an officer with a badge and you even dare to tell on your other fellow officer, bye bye. Bye bye. Retaliation is a whew. If you don't get it from your direct supervisor, you're gonna get it out of IE. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna get it out of internal affairs. You're gonna get it from somewhere. You're gonna get that smoke from somewhere. So that culture is what protects this system that we're trying to say it ain't how we want how they want us to be policed, it's how we want to be policed. And the reality is that every race in this country can tell the police how they want to be policed, but black folks. And that's the reason why. That's the reason why I still stand on we have to defund the police, and we have to abolish the police in the way that we know it in its current form.
Yeah. And they're gonna try to hate on that phrase. So just get creative. You ain't even gotta say defund the police no more. Just say refund the communities, say unbundle them or something. They're gonna attack you in City Hall as soon as you say something about defunding the police. But I guarantee, but when they want to move those dollars around in City Hall, they figure out ways to take money out of this. They'll take money out of the youth community program to shift it over to give somebody a raise if they need to, or to develop a new idea. So you just got to be creative with your words and be, you know what I'm saying, be ready to, back down all that defund talk with, what I'm saying, something just more creative,
Wow. I tell you, I think that was a closing remark right there. So goodness gracious, man. Guys, we want to thank you guys for definitely joining this podcast tonight. If y'all want to take a second and give, let folks know where you can be reached at as far as on your social media sites or your emails or whatever method you want to, as far as how you can be contacted or how you can be followed. We'll give you a moment to provide those. We'll start with you, Mr. Bally.
Already. Well, appreciate y'all having me, man. My name is Osiris Bally, OSYRUS BOLLY, on every social media platform. To find out about the work that I'm doing in the community, you can definitely check out Little Rock Freedom Fund, lrfreedomfund.com. They tell you about the work we're doing with direct action, know your rights, the bailouts, our campaign to free our founder, Don Jeffrey. She's facing 30 years on federal charges right now as we speak. And also learn about our voter education and voter increasing voter turnout in Arkansas, that campaign as well. But I got to say, free Don Jeffrey, support the Little Rock Freedom Fund, man. And you can find me by my name on all social media platforms.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Alexander.
Well, also, y'all, I'm Minister Dominic Alexander, president of the Next Generation Action Network. For the Next Generation Action Network, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Next Gen Action, NEXTGENACTION. And for me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, you can follow me at Nick Alex. That's NIQUEALEX. Just support the work, man. I tell people all the time, support whatever org that is on the front line in your local communities. That's what matters. And I'll stand with my brother, free Don, free my sister, and you definitely gonna get some love from NGAN, because Ernest and Tremont know I definitely understand when you got to fight for your life, for standing up for your people. So you definitely gonna get some love from NGAN for that. So peace and love.
Appreciate it.
All right, listen, go ahead, Mr. Arnold.
Ooh, I'm past a collection plate after all that, man. We definitely thank everyone for tuning in, and definitely thank our esteemed guests. I definitely appreciate you, brothers. And like I said, and Jonetta that was on earlier, we definitely appreciate it. We definitely hope we touch someone and pinch some nerves and make people realize, everything that's going on, how it just affects everyone around us, So we just need to just make sure that, like I said, the word is always get out, and also action behind the words. So we definitely appreciate it. Tremont Arnold on all social media platforms, and we definitely appreciate it. Great show, and you can close us out, E.
All right. Other than that, we want to thank everybody for joining the podcast. This has been a very powerful dialogue, with several different perspectives. So we definitely want to appreciate y'all thoughts and your opinions on the topic today, Undertone of Race and Equality. So thank y'all again for joining us, and we'll see y'all next Wednesday. Y'all have a happy Thanksgiving. Have a great evening. Thanks again. Have a great day.
Yeah, that's a wrap.
Already.